When creating audio or video content, the audio itself counts for so much of a viewer's experience. That's why I am very particular about how I look and especially how I sound on both my podcast as well as these YouTube videos. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing and unboxing the 7 Rims iRAY DW30. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Dan Kreines. I'm a digital learning coach and the host of the Leader of Learning podcast. And on this channel, I provide a lot of tech and gear reviews, and I've done a few now on audio products and wireless microphone systems because I know how important it is to get great sounding audio. And so a little while back, I did a review on a product called the Deity Pocket Wireless, which is what you're actually hearing me through right now. But recently, I got my hands on this, the 7 Rims iRAY DW30, which is a pretty new product, and I have to thank the company 7 Rims for sending this to me to test out. Not a sponsored video, but they did send me this to try and unbox and review here on this video for you. Once again, you're hearing me through the Deity Pocket Wireless right now. In a few minutes, I'll switch to the 7 Rims DW30 and we'll see the difference. We'll compare what the Deity Pocket Wireless sounds like compared to the 7 Rims DW30. Before we do that, let's go ahead and unbox. All right, so here we go with the unboxing of the 7 Rims iRAY DW30. I'm gonna try and show you as much as I can. All right, you open up the box and down here, and what I really love about this product versus the Deity Pocket Wireless is you have a charging case. So a case for the microphones, and when they're in, as indicated by the LED lights, the blue LED lights down there, you can see what the charge is on them and you can charge them right in the case. So the case itself on the back has the USB port, so you charge the case, and then once you're finished with either the transmitter or one receiver or two, then you pop them back in the charging case and they charge. Obviously, another thing to point out here is that, so let me just show you, comes with a, I think I just said this backwards when I was explaining it a minute ago, but it comes with a receiver. So the receiver is the piece that would go onto your camera or your phone and actually capture the audio. I want to make sure I'm putting this back in the case the right way so it charges. And then what's great is that the 7 Rims product here, as opposed to the Deity Pocket Wireless, comes with 2 transmitters. The transmitters are like what I'm wearing now. You could wear it right on your shirt or your collar. You can hook up a lapel mic into the transmitter as well. But you can wear that, and it comes with 2, which is great because if you are conducting in-person interviews and you wear one and the person that you're interviewing wears one, then both of your audio will be captured and you don't have to share a microphone. Let's just see what else comes in the box. All right, so I took out the charging case already. Now we have some paperwork. And as I open the paperwork, we can see that we have a user manual. All right, so that's the paperwork, and then underneath the paperwork here we have, my guess is lavalier microphone and all sorts of cables and connectors. So I'm just dumping them out here on the old desk. We have that looks to be a windscreen or a dead cat, if you will, for each of the lavalier microphones. Let me open up one of these lav mics. We can see what we get. So actually the dead cat is for, this guy is going to be going on the transmitter that gets worn on your shirt or your collar. And then they do have these two lavalier microphones that you can plug into the transmitters as well. And as you can see, they already come with a windscreen on the lavalier mic. So there are two of those. Here's the other. All right, so two lavalier mics. Then we have the, if I can open this quickly, we have the audio cable. So this is a kind of that TRS and a TRRS connection. If you don't know what that means, it took me a while to figure that out. Tip, ring, ring, sleeve. So you see the three rings here, and on this one you only have, let's make sure that gets in focus. There we go. All right, so you have tip, ring, sleeve on this one. So here's the tip, there's one ring in the middle, and then the bottom part, which is the sleeve. So this cable goes from the microphone into, or sorry, from the receiver and then into the camera, or if you're using a cell phone, a smartphone, then it would go in there as well. Actually get another one of those. And here we have the charging cables. So there is USB, you know what, let me open this guy, because this guy, I've seen this and it looks very unique and interesting. You have, it's like a splitter. You have a USB-A connection that gets split 3 times. There's sort of orange colored one, and then 2 black USB-C connectors. So basically, as I've already mentioned, the charging case, let me show you that one more time. Charging case can get charged by plugging in just one USB-C into the charging connection on the case. But if you actually want to charge each component separately, the receiver and 2 transmitters, then that's what this splitter is for. You would use obviously each one of the 3 USB-C connectors to be able to do that. So that's really just about everything that came in here. I'm really excited about the charging case because, like I said, the DoD Pocket Wireless that I've been using is similar but different because it doesn't have the charging case, and it also doesn't have that second receiver for if you're doing interviews or wanting multiple people to each wear their own receiver, their own microphone. So I think we're at a point where I'm going to need to swap out the Pocket Wireless for the 7 rims microphone system and not only see the difference in terms of how it sounds, but I want to really review this as well as conducting a range test. So coming up, I'm going to switch microphones and we'll see how the 7 rims sounds. All right, I'm back and I am now on the 7 rims DW30 system here, and it took me a few minutes to set up. I just had to mess around with the audio levels on my camera, and so I want to make sure that I'm sounding really good. I just want to show you on the receiver, sorry, on the transmitter, they have a couple of buttons here. All right, so turning on and off the receiver as well as the transmitter is very easy. There are power buttons on both. There's another button here for pairing, but right out of the box, these come already paired. You shouldn't have to worry about that too much, but in case you need to, you can repair or reconnect the transmitters and the receiver. And then here is the USB charging port. Now what's really cool and very different about this 7 rims microphone system from others, with the exception of maybe one of their biggest competitors being the Rode Wireless Go 2, is that it has the record button on it. So these transmitters actually have a little bit of internal storage on them, so that instead of just capturing the audio as it's being recorded on video, like in this case through my camera, if you wanted to just use this system and then transfer the audio later on into a computer or a laptop, you can do that, which is a really exciting feature. I don't have it on any other microphone system that I have, including the deity Pocket Wireless, but this 7-rim system has that record button where you can actually capture audio right onto each of the receivers. Sorry, I keep messing that up. Each of the transmitters. And they have that internal storage, which is really exciting. Anyway, right now you're hearing me through the 7-rims system and just with the receiver. Next, I'm going to actually attach one of the lapel microphones so you can hear how that sounds as well. All right, and then this is basically the other way that you can set up the transmitters. I wanted to make sure I get that term correct this time, is by popping in a lavalier microphone, which I'm wearing now, and you can hear how this sounds compared to what I just sounded like using the receiver only. So this is me, and I'm right in front of my camera, but I'm using the lavalier microphone now instead of just the receiver. The next test that I'm going to do, and we're going to take this outside, is I'm going to do a range test, and I will test the range in terms of how far away from the receiver I can get with the transmitters, and I'll kind of test out both the audio through just the transmitter as well as the lavalier microphone as well. So stay with me, and I'm going to head outside and we'll see how this sounds outdoors as well as how far we can go with it. All right, I'm outside now doing another test, an outdoor test and a range test on the 7-rims microphone. Right now, I'm just speaking to you through the receiver only, and I want to see how this sounds. And then next, I will actually plug in the lapel mic and see what the difference might sound like there. All right, so this is me now using the lapel microphone. If I had to guesstimate, I would say I'm probably about 25 feet or so away from the camera. You just heard me talking through just the receiver only, and now I'm on the lapel mic. And just for kind of transparency purposes, I'll keep using the lapel mic, but I will also keep moving farther and farther away from the camera to see how the range is. And as long as it's still sounding good, we'll test it out and see how far we can actually go with the receiver away, with the transmitter away from the receiver. All right, I'm now at a distance of what I think to be around 100 or so feet, or about the length of a basketball court, just before the rock wall here in my front yard, and you should still hear me okay. I'm actually going to check to see, because you can see the levels on the receiver itself. So looks like I'm coming through here. I can't actually see what's happening on my camera, but I'm going to guess that you could still hear me really well from even about 100 feet away. I think my next test is going to be at least on the other side of the rock wall, if not the other side of the street. I also want to hear how it sounds with some cars passing behind me as well. I have the lavalier mic with the windscreen on. It's really not too windy today, but you should be able to hear me pretty well. Maybe just a little bit of the background noise with the cars. All right, I haven't quite ventured across the street yet. Still want to make sure that I'm sounding good, and I'm going to hope that a car comes by here as I'm much closer. Here we go. I'm much closer to the street now, and where you would actually hear car noise. There it is behind me right now. So I want to see if you could still hear the lapel mic in this case much better, even with some street noise, assuming that someone is doing an interview or capturing audio outside. I want to make sure you could still hear it well enough with that kind of background noise. We got two cars passing by right now, so I'm going to keep talking and we'll see how it sounds as I have these two cars passing by me. Hopefully you can still hear me well enough. There we go. All right, I got brave. I went across the street. If people see me out here, they're probably going to think I'm a little nuts, but I am well away from the camera, good 400 feet. I remember that when I DW30 wireless, it did allow me to be this far away from the receiver and you could still hear me really well, except that when I turned around there was some interference. So I did keep talking as I walked across the street, and I'm going to see if you can still hear me well enough as I had my back turned to the receiver. But again, assuming that you could probably still hear me well enough from all the way across the street, and we're going to test and see when I get back inside and watch this recording back. I'm going to put out the audio on the YouTube video anyway, so you can see how I sound or hear how I sound and see what the range is like on the 7 rims microphone system. All right, I'm back inside now, and I'm back on the 7 rims microphone with the lavalier attached to it. And you know, after watching back and listening back to the video that I captured outside and doing the range test, I mean, I think it sounds great. Obviously, you could probably tell that when I moved across the street, as I turned my back, there was plenty of interference, and the connection between the transmitter that I was wearing with the lavalier and the receiver on the camera, they just couldn't communicate well enough. So there was a lot, I was talking, you probably couldn't tell, but I was talking as I walked across the street to test that out. And it wasn't until I turned back around that you can really hear me well. And even then, there was some of that interference where the audio got a little bit choppy. So, you know, I really pushed it in terms of the range. I was definitely a good 300 to 400 feet, probably closer to 400 feet away from the receiver and away from my camera, but clearly maxed out that range. But it sounded great up until that point, up until I got across the street. So anything on the side of the street that my house is on sounded really, really good. Now, as far as my final thoughts and reviews and maybe a little bit of a comparison, I really love this microphone system. I will again tell you that 7 Rims sent me this product to test out, but on Amazon at the time of recording this, it was going for around or just over $200, which I think is a really fair price, to be honest with you, because like I said, as opposed to the deity Pocket Wireless, you get two transmitters instead of just the one that comes with the deity Pocket Wireless. And honestly, my favorite feature of this whole thing is the charging case. You know, the case where both the receiver as well as the transmitters go, and then you can always keep the case charged and just pop in the receiver and transmitters to charge up after each use. So in terms of pros and cons, I just mentioned them. The con is that might not have gotten quite the range out of this system as others like the DD Pocket Wireless and maybe the Rode Wireless Go can get you, but I was plenty far away from my camera and you still heard me fine. You know, I don't know how far people are looking to get away from their camera. If you're doing some kind of recording where you're going to be 400 feet plus away, this might not be the system for you. But honestly, how often does that happen, right? For the pros, you know, as I listened back to the audio, it sounds really good. I'm still interested to see how it sounds compared to the deity Pocket Wireless. Please let me know down in the comments what you noticed in terms of the difference between the beginning of this video that I was using the deity Pocket Wireless and then later when I was using the new 7 Rims microphone system. But overall, the biggest pro, the biggest win in terms of why you might want to get the 7 Rims system versus any other like the one that I've already reviewed, the deity Pocket Wireless, is definitely the charging case, along with the fact that you get those 2 transmitters. I think that is such a game changer. Both of those things are game changers, but especially if you're like me and you do an interview podcast, or if you have a YouTube channel and it's going to be you plus somebody else that you want to have mic'd up. This way you don't have to pass the microphone in between the two of you. You could both wear either the receiver or the receiver and the lavalier microphone, and it's going to sound really great. Again, this has been a review of the 7 Rims iRAY DW30. Let me hold up the whole box again just so you can see. I think it sounded great. It had a good range to it, maybe not the best, but definitely comparable to other systems. And I love the fact that you get that charging case and the 2 transmitters as well. I would love any comments down below in terms of your thoughts and what you may be thinking about in terms of purchasing this system or something like it. If there's another one that you know of that's comparable, I would love to know that too. If you really like the value that you got out of this video, I hope that you give the video a thumbs up. And of course, a subscription to the channel would be really greatly appreciated to make sure that you're getting more of this kind of content. I put out a lot of digital learning, technology, and gear reviews and tutorials. If you like that sort of thing, please go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.